Yeah, that's my little critter. This was my attempt at doing lost wood process. I won't go through the whole process, but what I did is I just took about a 4x8 spindle block and trued it up, kind of tapered off the ends, and then I made a box out of it. And then I took that box and if you go to the next slide, I can show you a little bit. You can see on the inside, you can see that it's oval. I took about a 1/4 inch out of the center of it, but then I got to playing around with it a little bit. And I remembered something I had seen Michael Huslak do some time ago, where he takes the length of it, starts cutting slices out of it on kind of compound angles, and then he glues things all back together, and that's how you get the curvatures and the different way it undulates around and whatnot. So I just kind of played around with it, and as I was putting it together, and I thought to myself, it kind of reminds me as a kid playing around with cocoons. I don't know whether anybody ever did that, but we used to get them as kids and put them in a jar and wait till they became a moth or a butterfly. But that's what it reminded me of. So that's what it became, a cocoon box.
Did you texture the inside too?
Yeah, I did just kind of hide some of the marks where I had cut. You can still see some of them, but and actually I actually did it while it was still apart before I glued it back together, because it was just easier to get all the pieces in there. But yeah.
I've got 1,000 questions, so I'm just going to keep going. What did you do for the outside in terms of what did you use to color?
The lighter green is India ink. And well, actually, first of all, what I did is I textured the outside. The little squirts or whatever you want to call them are wood burn just by hand. It's just kind of random. And then I dyed it with green India ink. And then I used some other acrylics, like up at the top where it kind of almost looks like an otter. Up there, I just blended in some darker acrylic inks. And then inside the little squirts, I used, I'm trying to remember what I used. I think it was some kind of an alcohol pen that I had. I had a whole variety of colors. It wasn't the one we used for Basket Illusions. It was something else that I had. I was just trying to find something I could color in there. So it's a whole variety of things, Michael.
Well, I don't know if you can see me, but I'm wiping the drool off my chin here.
Yeah.
I'm in love with this.
Michael's already trying to figure out how to get Basket Illusion onto it. We know where he's going.
I'm literally like, that's
really
really cool.
I've got another one that I've got turned, and I've been playing around with it. And I'm kind of waiting till we get Fleming in to do airbrushing, because my thought was, I saw a picture of a cocoon that's almost transparent, and you can see the colors of a monarch butterfly inside. And I thought, oh man, I'd love to be able to see if I can pull that one off, but stay tuned.
It's really gorgeous, but get rid of that stand. That's taken away.
Norm, I threw that together at the last minute because I kept putting this thing on the table, and there was just no way to display it. Yeah,
I've been talking about the stand the whole time. What are you guys talking about? No, so I'm going to take 2 seconds and then I'm going to shut up. Bob, this is awesome. I'm like mesmerized by it. I think it's so damn cool.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, that's a great piece, Bob.
Send it to Art.
Yeah, I think it was smart to continue the color into the shoulder of where they hook together, or the tenon.
Yeah, that was a great idea, but it was done because the India ink bled through.
What's his name?
Me, Preston.
That's Happy Accidents, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Turn it into a feature.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's fun. I highly recommend trying it. They're just a lot of fun. Just kind of things you can play around with.
Well, Bob, if you want to part with it, you know who to call.
Okay.
Hey, Bob, how did you hold it for the bandsaw, or how did you cut it?
I made a sled when I cut down through the center, and all I did was I took little wedgies of pieces that I got a box full of those, and I just hot glued them onto this little piece of 1/4-inch plywood or something, and I just ran it through the bandsaw twice. And when I was doing when I was slicing it, I just held it by hand and did it on my bandsaw that way.
Got you. Yeah.
Which you got to be really careful that you don't slice off a finger or something. But and then to try to do some of the shaping on it when I got together, I took dowels and I put sandpaper on them. I run them on the lathe, and then I can just kind of use it to maneuver the piece around and shape it however I want. So that's how I did the shaping.
How big is it?
It's about, I don't know, I think it's about 6 or 7 inches long. I think it's 6 inches. What did I put in there? I started off with a 4x8 block, so I don't think it's more than 6 inches, Bob, long. It's 3 inches in diameter.
It might look good with a bent wire stand. So
Yeah,
it
I'm
doesn't
still
take away
trying to
from the
figure out
form.
what's the best way to display it, because
Acrylic.
that was pretty clunky looking, and it was you should have seen before it got painted. It was even worse.
I don't know. That raw plywood edge problem is
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, no, I need
Yeah.
some veneer or something around it, but I think I'm gonna start over on the base.
Yeah, I'd go either acrylic or maybe like a branch.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's an
branch is a great
excellent
idea, yeah.
That's a great idea.
Well, following your cocoon theme too.
Yeah, good idea. Good
And
idea.
just for scale, how thick is that piece of plywood?
3/4 inch.
There you go.
How many hours do you think you've got into this?
It's really hard to say, because when I do things like this, I do a little bit and it sets aside while I'm trying to think about how I'm going to do something else. If I had to guess, too many.
It's
I can tell you.
probably at least $1,000 piece.
For
You
sale,
gotta-
you want it?
Oh, it's too many o'clock, guys.
Too many.
Well, very nice, Bob. Great
Thank
piece.
you. Thank you.
Good job.
Nice
Why are you
finish.
guys trying to screw me? I was trying to buy it from them and you're making the price go up, Bob. What the hell?
Michael, call me.
All right.
Craig.
All right. I did two. This is, I did one of these last year and it got a really good reception at the show. So I made two more. I actually took some time off work and made them both at the same time to save time during the setup. So I turned the inside part and then I could throw the other one on the lathe, and it was less time rebalancing and stuff, but it's cherry. The outside area has been sandblasted and the background is copper, and the inside area of the cherry that's been turned out is also copper.
I thought I was going crazy when I looked at the photos. You got to go back and forth and notice the grain pattern facing on the right.
Yeah, the
Only
grain,
thing that tells you it's two different pieces.
yeah, the grain pattern and the backgrounds are slightly
Yeah.
different. The patina on this one, I think, came out a whole lot better than the other one. And I definitely like the grain pattern on this one better. And I stayed a lot more with the sandblasting on this one
Yeah.
and just really blasted the hell out of it. So this is this one came out really topographical, where this one did not.
Yeah.
Both
that
of them are cool as
sandblasted
hell.
grain is just awesome.
Thanks.
So Craig, what are the sizes? Because I have the notes.
They're both within about a 1/2 inch. So 34 5/8 by 29 9/16.
Oh, wow.
And they're 4 1/4 thick. So it was 12/4 cherry.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, again, that's not the wood dimension. That's the entire piece dimension, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And how do you go about mounting those on a wall?
There's a metal cleat. There's a French cleat on the back of the background. So there's a mating piece that goes on the wall.
So they are mounted onto that piece of copper.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the copper, it's actually a piece of plywood with textured paper, and then I spray the copper on.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Yeah, this one, Craig, looks, like you said, the patina on it really makes that background enhance the rest of the piece so much more than the other one does. I mean, the other one looks fantastic too, but I agree that different patina on the background really does make a difference.
yeah, I have a hard time with the patinas just because I never know if I put enough on, and you got to sit there and wait for it to react and stuff.
Hmm.
But this one has a different textured paper to it.
Yeah.
But the way the second one came out, the background on this, it almost reminds me of like foliage and
Yeah. Yep.
you know,
Yeah, it's a more rustic, yeah, I think that's it's an organic kind of pattern which really fits the piece.
you know,
No, that's really nice.
thank you.
I have
Well,
a very lack of
now you-
knowledge question. After the part that you sandblast, do you come back and hand sand it afterwards?
No, I don't. I mask off the main areas. I have learned from other sandblasting that to make it look better, you can't just go back and forth with the sandblaster. You have to follow that grain and just keep continuously follow the motion of the grain until you get to the other end of it and stuff. Because if you stop halfway and just do like a zigzag pattern down like the entire right hand side, you're going to see where you start and stop that sandblaster.
So you'll feel that texture, right? Basically your
Oh,
finger
yeah.
will ride in
Yeah.
and out that grain.
Yeah, some of these valleys are almost 3/16 of an inch deep, maybe.
Wow, yeah.
Definitely at least an eighth.
That's really cool.
So was that one long board? So those three pieces were just cut from the
Yes,
same board?
yes. Yeah, actually, both pieces came out of one board. We went to the hardwood store in Gibsonville, looking for some 12-quarter cherry and some 8-quarter. And when I called them, they're like, well, we only got like 70 feet of 12-quarter, but we have 300 feet of 8-quarter. And I go to there, none of the 8-quarter I could use for what I was looking for. And they had one piece of 12-quarter that was perfect for this. And I got 2 sculptures out of it.
That's great.
Nice.
Craig, in the future, a favor, and this might help you.
Yeah.
Give us a secondary photo at a sharp angle so we can get a real feel for how much it projects forward. I mean,
Okay.
I can kind of see from the gap there, but I'd really love like a side view.
Yeah. I'll talk to the photographer about that. I'm not shooting these. I have somebody shoot these for me. So it's much easier for me just to pay somebody.
Well, nicely done. And
Yeah.
I really like, particularly like this. I think that the background on this one just fits it so well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to see the scale of it too. Maybe if you were standing next to it, it would make it even bigger, right?
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Just put it in my house, put it on the wall.
Okay.
Take a picture.
Yeah, I do layaways.
Yeah.
I would need it, but it would be worth every penny.
And Craig, you say it's 4 inches deep?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
The cherry was actually 3 inches. The backgrounds themselves are 1/2 inch plywood, and then there's a 3/4 inch riser between the background and the main sculpture. So that adds a little bit more depth to it.
Mhm.
All right.
You see it hanging at the North Carolina Museum of Art.
Yeah.
All right, Bob.
Hello, hello. This is a bowl I made as a present for my sister's 80th birthday. We're getting old. And it was kind of interesting because it's from a maple tree that was taken down as recently as February of this year in our HOA. And there were a number of interesting subsections that I got and gave to waste to several people, but there's both burling and spalting in it. This thing's about, I don't know, 12, 14 inches in diameter and 6 inches tall. And I put the 3 accent lines on it, and in profile, it looks pretty nice, and it goes along with the spalting. I think there's a second shot of it. There is a profile shot. There you go.
Wow. That burrow in the left-hand quadrant, I was just glanced at it, and it looked like it was, in the previous picture, it looked like it was an old guy with a ponytail and a big bushy beard. Profile.
Well, yeah, there you go. There you go.
I see it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it could also be a chimpanzee or a gorilla.
Yeah, true. Gorilla.
Dog.
But it is, as you could see in the profile shot, it is footed, and the lines on the bottom of the foot mirror the lines at the top.
Beautiful shape.
Yeah, very nice.
But my only suggestion is it looks like there's some fuzziness in those grooves.
That's a possibility.
Yeah,
my
hold a
turn.
piece of 400.
Yeah, but no, nicely done.
Yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful.
beautiful wood.
And then I have a guy who hired me to, he brought a bunch of wood over and said, make all the lidded bowls you can. And as best I can figure, I'm going to get 19 out of it. I'm not 100% sure what this wood is, but I'm just kind of having fun with the designs. And this is one of them. And then there's a picture of another one there. And
So how tall are these?
these are about almost square. They're almost 6 by 6. And I just kind of having fun with them. The image on the second one is, there's actually kind of a pyrography tree on the top, which is designed to hide a crack. And this one has some burling. You can see it kind of reflected in the bottom there.
Nice.
So Bob, my kids had a term that they called, you've verbified a noun. I've never heard the term burling.
Rolling.
Yeah, so
Burling? Well, there you go.
Burling. I think, as my kids would say, you verbified a noun.
There you go.
It's from
Well,
Burlington.
There's definitely some burling in it.
It's too long. Actually, I say verbing a noun.
Nicely
Good
done,
skill.
Bob. All right. Is Gene on? I don't see Gene.
Don't think so.
Let's just skip past his. Mr. Duxbury.
Hey, I made it. I call these a shark tooth bowl. It's a spindle turning that you turn the teeth, and when you get them all turned and finished, then you turn the whole thing up on end and do like a natural edge bowl out of it.
I really like the one on the upper left. That's really cool.
It's wild.
And that's more of a round, short piece. When you get more of a long thin piece, it changes, so.
Looks like it'd be a good weapon too, if you need one.
Could be, yeah. Anyway,
Steve, can you zoom out a little?
Jim, these are similar, the way that you do this is similar to what Rudy demoed for us, right?
it could be, yes. Yes, he does
Yeah.
a scallop kind of thing.
Yeah, he does a more rounded
Yeah,
edge where you have a sharper tooth-like
yeah.
edge. Yeah, cool.
Jim, you're going to be teaching us at John C. Campbell and Aramon, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I hope, yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, what are the approximate dimensions?
Probably the one on the left, upper left is like 5 inches in diameter and about 6 inches long. The other one, the upper right, is probably about 8 inches long. And I don't know, it was probably about 5 inches in diameter. This other one, I don't remember. I tell you the truth. The bottom one might have been done in a pair, similar to a, what do you call it? Where you have a sacrificial piece in the center, and you have a block of wood on both sides.
Right.
I don't know what you call that, but probably made a pair of them.
Right.
And
Certainly.
it looks like that. I really don't remember how I turned that one.
Is the center depression circular? The image makes it look almost oval, but I assume that's really circular.
I wish I could have done it oval, but no, it is circular. It's a pretty fast tool handling if you want to make it oval. That's
Or lost wood in 2 directions.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
That's the bottom.
Jim, you demoed this for us as well a few years ago, I believe, correct?
I might have, yeah.
I think so. They should be actually in our archives if anybody's interested. Under our resources tab, you should be able to find this under the link to the YouTube videos.
That's right. I did do it. You got a good memory.
I can't remember last week.
I
I can't remember last week either, but I can remember from a few years ago.
I prefer not to remember last week.
Very nice. As usual, very, very unique. Very
Fun
clever.
project, and they seem to sell pretty well.
Cool. I like the burn lines in that too.
Oh, and this is Rita's. Rita, come over here. She's messing around. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Hi. We had a plum tree that fell down in our yard and it had beautiful wood. It was just really pretty. And then also a neighbor had a Bradford pear that we helped him take down. So I decided to turn some little lighthouses. And these actually are all turned out of wet wood, but very little cracking. I was really I was really surprised. And they were just fun to do on my mini lathe. And the longest one is right at the very maximum of what the mini lathe will take. And everyone is different. It just depends on what size branch you have and what you have to work with.
It's really neat.
I saw them in person.
They were fun.
I saw them in person. They are really, really cool.
And
It's really neat the way you use the whole base of the branch there as the base and then went from there.
thank you. Thank you. People love lighthouses. There's some alluring mystique about a lighthouse, and anything you make in a lighthouse, I think, becomes really popular. But thank you very much.
Rita, is the one in the lower right, is that leaning because it it dried.
It's leaning just because the branch was leaning and I turned it that way and
I love that one.
Me too.
most of those have already been sold, believe it or not.
I can't believe it. I told her that was the worst one in the bunch. I wouldn't even have taken it. I was a guy. And she sold that. I
Let
think
me
she
tell-
sold that first thing, yeah.
Let me tell you right now, at Arts Closure, these things were flying off the shelves, and it wasn't the wind blowing them
They
off. It
were
was crazy.
flying off the shelf and the wind did blow some.
Lots of things blew off the shelf.
That was a really fun day. I really enjoyed myself and
Yeah,
we
Me
had
too.
a good time, except at the end, it got really quite interesting.
okay.
Me too. But I honestly, guys, these people were running up to these and they were picking them up, and then they'd be like, "Who do I pay money for?" These sold like crazy. People loved them.
They
So-
did.
Well done.
So Jim, it's surprising that, you know, something that's eccentrically turned like that one on the lower right there, that from a guy who doesn't do anything.
Well,
Great, normal.
I would think the appeal to that one would be your favorite one.
you know,
I'm surprised that you didn't like that one.
there's something about, she
Can I
likes,
hold these up?
she likes.
Can you see these? This is a short, fat one. You see, I just took the branches and did whatever happened.
Yeah. That one's awesome.
Yeah, that is, that's brilliant.
Yeah, she broke the bandsaw blade on that, I'll tell you. Anyway,
Are these
Uh,
are these all one piece, or are the tops hollowed and glued on?
no, they're all one piece. They're all one
Okay.
piece. I don't know, there's something about that. I don't like wood with holes in it and worms in it, and
I do.
I like it more realistic, but honestly, God, that thing sold first thing. She's had two pieces like that. We had a bowl we put out at one of the craft shows, and I says, "That's the worst looking thing I've ever seen." And there was a guy came in with, I think he was the first guy, went straight across the booth and bought that bowl. I've eaten my words more than once, but
Ain't no telling about taste.
Jim, you gotta trust her taste. She found you.
you got
Oh, wow,
it.
thank you.
Owie.
Very nice, Rita. Very nice. I love it.
Made dozens of them.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Vaith.
Yeah, well, one of the joys of being out here in Oregon is the availability of big leaf maple burl. And this happens to be a piece. I was over at Kevin Jessical's. Some of you may know him or be familiar with him on Instagram, but he's a member of our local club, and went over. He says, "I got more wood than I know what to do with." He said, "Come on over, I'll give you some." So I, of course, went over. And this was just a nice piece. I made a hollow form out of it. Did have a bark inclusion that revealed itself as I did my turning, and then I filled it in. I don't know that I love the blue turquoise in there, but anyway. And this is the other side of it. You can see all the burl on one side, and the other side was relatively plain. And then when I was taking the pictures, it started raining, and I thought, well, that looks kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
I was gonna ask. I thought it was a new effect you were trying.
So I let it rain. I took the picture, and then I had to refinish it.
What is the finish? What did you do?
It's just Beal buffed and with Renaissance wax.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
What's the approximate size?
I don't know. I put
It's
it in,
6x6 here, 6x6.25.
yeah,
Depends how big the raindrops are.
yeah. 6 by 6.25. That sounds right.
Yeah, I was trying to scale it from the raindrops, but
Not rain, that's drizzle, come on.
Yeah, one of the few pictures I've taken outdoors.
Yeah.
But I wanted to add to my inventory for the IRDs that I do on photography.
all right. Well, I like the border of the burl versus the non-burl. I always think that that's a nice effect because it makes the contrast between the two really makes the burl kind of jump out. So,
Yeah, it was a fun piece of wood to work with.
That's nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been oogling this one.
Yeah, I saw you posted that or the
On
workings of
Instagram,
that
yeah.
on Instagram. And I did have to wipe my screen off a little bit.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
So how many dots are there, John?
But I thought somebody might ask me that. So I calculated, I figured, well, it's pretty close to a sphere, and I calculated, based on the size of the sphere, and then subtracting out all the areas that are not burned. And it was just like a 1 millimeter tip on the burner. And so I calculated 41,145 times.
You guys, some of you guys drive me nuts. I do wood turning to get away from math.
Yeah, that's a sign of somebody who really needs some help.
No, that just, I liked John before, but now we're at a new level.
A new level, right?
Beautiful piece, though. It's really stunning.
Thank you.
What'd you dye it with?
It's just India ink on there right now. And I may add an additional finish to it, but right now it's just India ink on it.
Have you done anything with the inside?
No. No. Any suggestions?
Dimple it.
I just wondered if you carried the India ink on.
No, I didn't. I thought if I did anything with the inside, I might do, a gold or something on the inside. But anyway, it's it actually it feels so great in your hand. The texture, after I did all the burning, then I buffed it with like a 3M pad, and it just has a very, very nice feel when you pick it up. You don't want to put it down. And then the little windows, there are 8 windows, and 4 of the windows I just created random forms inside. And I had a little video, but Norm wouldn't let me use it.
I don't make these rules. Facebook doesn't allow you to have a gallery that has both photo and video. That's the only reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were just punishing me, Norm, for.
What's the wood underneath?
It's maple. Yeah, it was kind of a fun project, but boy, it was over 11 hours of burning.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
And just again, from the way that I look at things like that and come up with weird ideas, I was picturing taking the horizontal bands and turning that down to the original lighter wood. I think the contrast would be stunning. Okay, you don't like it. Bye.
Yeah. Actually, I did think very much about coloring it, or maybe putting just a surface, like dry brush on the textured part. But then again, I kind of like the black on black. So
no, it's gorgeous. I'm not saying it isn't, but just as an alternative, it would be startlingly different to have the raw wood,
And also, I think you could have carried on the profile to a narrower bottom. This kind of looks like a stump.
It's funny when I am turning these things. Of course, you're looking at it sideways, and I always think, oh, did I have the bottom tucked in enough, or should I tuck it in a little bit more? And then inevitably I get it off the lathe and I go, yeah, I should have tucked it in a little bit more. But
I do the same thing.
always, it looks different at 90 degrees.
I like the form that you have though too. I think it looks pretty good. What size is it, John?
I put the dimension.
It's 5.5 by 5.
5.5 by 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's so stunning. The form is secondary.
John, you know what I do for that? Just because I struggle with the same thing. I take it off the lathe, leave it on the chuck, set it upright at the top of the lathe, and then I walk around the shop for 15 minutes, do other crap, and I just keep looking over at it. Or sometimes I'll put a flashlight or one of my light in front of it and project it on the white background behind my lathe so I can see the shadow. And then I just look at the shadow. I don't look at the texture. I don't look at the grain. I just look at the shadow, and it tells me if I need to tuck that foot in more or not.
That's
Great
a
idea.
Yeah, that's a
Great
great
idea.
idea.
John, and you know the photography trick, right? Inverted. You can't really look at a shape until you put it upside down.
But turn it upside down. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's true. That's true, Norm. But I don't know when the next time I'll spend 11 hours wood burning.
I was gonna ask you, do you do that all in one sitting or do you have to do?
No, it was multiple sittings.
Yeah,
And plus, you know, you're wearing a respirator because you don't want to be breathing all that stuff.
Yeah.
That comes out to be 3,727 knots per hour at 11 hours.
You want me to, Steve, do I need to mute LF? You want me to do that?
No,
You should both see the same doctor.
yeah. I don't know. I was going to comment on the amoebas in the frames, but
Yeah.
Well, you know, John, you know, we traded some message about this, but I can see those, you know, making more of these, and in those windows, you could have a theme, you know, for this particular vessel and have different images of that theme in each of those windows around there, or every other window like you have now, whatever. But I think this is a fantastic idea you got here, and format to continue to build on.
yeah, it's
Yeah, at first I thought they were like maps of countries or something, like outlines of countries, and that would be.
Yeah.
That's just, that
Flowers,
lends itself to a whole
leaves.
series of things, even different texturing on it you could do.
Yeah.
actually that one.
Or
looked
like you could use tree leaf, you know, different leaves, you know.
Leaves, yeah,
on
flowers.
images or something.
Yeah,
there's
you can
lots of
make
things.
recognizable images there. I mean, I
Yeah,
kind of see a
yeah.
bear looking up into the sky or something in,
Yeah.
in this picture.
Send it
Lots
to
of
Michael,
things.
let him basket weave the hell out of it.
I thought it was Pikachu, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Just
Yeah,
a
it could be
thing.
Pikachu. Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, nicely
it
done.
can be
John.
whatever you guys want it.
Man,
Those are cool. This is my idea of making little bitty gonks. Another club that I'm in, we pay our shop rent by selling, giving away at the county fair. And I wanted to make these a little bit different. So they're drilled in from the bottom and weighted with pennies. So if you knock them over, they will sit back up.
Cool.
So copy of a Weeble from a kid of the 70s.
They wiggle and wobble, but they don't fall down.
That's it, exactly.
That is way cute.
That's
That is
cool,
way
yeah.
cute.
Mm.
and how tall are they?
And
About?
they're only 2.5 inches, the tallest one.
Yeah, but how
And
many pennies?
5 to 7.
Oh, wow.
Just depends on where I put the center point at. And then I just drill in a hole big enough so that pennies fit, and then I drill further up into it to get some weight out of the top of it with a slightly smaller hole. And each of them are, of course, they're just one piece except for the nose. And that's put in just like the perch on a birdhouse.
What are you using for the hair?
For the hair, it's fake fur from Hobby Lobby. They'll sell you as little as 1/8 of a yard, and don't buy more than that because you can make over 300 of these out of 1/8 of a yard.
You can find some on Amazon too. You can get some
Yeah.
small, like square foot pieces.
Yeah,
And
but don't
How do you attach it?
buy a lot to stock up.
how do you attach the hair?
I use CA glue, medium thickness up under the hats. I just cut enough of a rim and it just fits in there. And the one on the lower right, you can see the rim part where I cut it to fit the hair in there.
Yep.
And I
Oh, I
just
see.
run one bead across there and it sticks straight in, and then push the nose right through. Well, I cut a hole, of course, with it and just push it straight in.
So
So-
there's some type of backing on it, right? It's not individual.
It's
fiber.
woven fabric with
Yeah.
longer hair coming out of it,
Right,
and you
got it.
just cut it into a V shape.
Yeah, we use that in fly tying sometimes.
Yeah, it's only 1.5 inch V shape that I'll make. And you just try to be careful not to cut those long hairs that are hanging off of it so that they'll still run wild.
Nice job. Rita does those too. She uses hot melt on the whiskers.
That's a great idea.
Works
It
out very
really
good,
is.
Nice. That's very cute.
I don't put pennies in them.
Oh.
Costs too much money.
You have to charge more.
Well, it's 5 to 7 cents a piece, and we're giving them away or selling them for $10. And you can make one in less than 10 minutes. So you can make enough money to cover a little bit of ground.
Do you all know that it costs the US Mint a little over 2 cents to make a penny? It's true.
I've got some
Yeah,
I'll
they've been
sell
trying to
them.
get rid of that for years.
Well,
I don't know how
now,
expen- I don't know how expensive washers are, but they might work instead of pennies.
Yeah, they would.
The washers cost more than the pennies do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
washers started a nickel, basically.
Yeah, they probably would.
Nice.
But I have, like everybody, I've got a penny jar I save forever.
Yep.
Okay, this was my next one, and this is another project that we set them on the table for $10 a piece, and they started life as a needle case, and I started making them just over 2.5 inches inside diameter, length, I mean, so that you can put toothpicks in them, or you can roll up a $100 bill and use it as a gift box. So I was surprised at how many of these we've been able to sell. And again, it's another project you can make in about 15 minutes. And so, you know, $10 to $15 is not bad for that.
You really cover the spectrum with your monetary use, the pennies and the $100 bill, nothing in between, huh?
I was gonna say, do pennies fit in it?
They do not fit. But I've been surprised at the number of people that really have bought them to use as needle cases. I didn't think people really kept needles in those things anymore, but they do.
How tall are they?
Anywhere from 3 to 4 inches.
Good idea.
And the lids are all just friction fit.
Yeah, they're friction fit, and I have 2 Jacobs chucks to speed it up, and I have the 2 drills. I use a 1/2 inch and a 5/8, and you know, again, that just speeds it up so that it doesn't take as long.
Right.
Cool.
Very good.
But they're real simple to make, and that's what I'm good at, simple.
Well, thanks. Nicely done. All right, Preston.
Wow.
Hey, guys, this is a piece of red bud, which has the real pretty blooms on it in the spring. And this is, of course, a crotch piece. You can see a little bit of the crotch feathering there in the bottom, in the crotch, actually. But what really drew my attention was the deep, rich brown, and then the dark grain, and then the great contrast between the sap and the hardwood. And it's my first attempt at a wing bowl, and once I put the finish on it, I found all kinds of sanding marks. I got to go back and try to fix those. You can't see in this picture. This is just a screenshot of a video. I haven't taken any good pictures yet. But I'm real happy with it.
How big is it?
It's about 11 long by 9 wide by about 1 inch and almost 2 inches high. Plenty of wormholes and tunnels.
And is this what we were looking at? Is that the base?
Yeah, the other picture is the base, so it's got the flat bottom on it. And at first I thought it was that the two forks would be heavy enough to make it sit on the edge, but I guess I balanced it too much with where the bowl is.
So did you turn this dry or was it wet?
It's dryish, yeah.
Because boy, that stuff just cracks. I had a
Definitely.
load
see
of it
the-
and it just
The crack, there's a huge crack where my finger is. Don't mean to hide it, but there's a lot of swirling grain down there too. And then, of course, the cracks in the crotch piece area. I tried to fill those with black super glue.
It's really nice.
It came out beautiful, Preston. I saw your posts on Instagram. It's a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
This is done. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it stays. I've been playing with a bunch of red bud, boy, and I can't. It just cracks so fast.
Oh,
on stuff I'm
this
trying to
was
turn.
cracked horribly, and fortunately, I turned most of them out. But
Yeah.
Well, Preston, I had 2 pieces of this that did the same thing at Artsplosion, and they got more attention than almost anything else that I had there. You
yeah,
know, they were cracked severely and twisted and
yeah,
all kind of a mess, and people loved them.
yeah. One thing I need some advice on, if you go back to the other picture, please, where I butterflied it down the middle. This was another video that I posted on Instagram, but when I made the little, that was a tenon there where the top of the bowl is. That's where all the feathering was. And when I cut it in to make that tenon, a lot of it went away. I guess instead of trying to cut it right down the middle and try to get 2 pieces out of it with feathering, I should have moved it over a little bit where I'd have a chance to make a tenon and could still have all the feathering, I guess.
Yeah, but
Any
if
advice from y'all?
you'd put the pith in there, I think you definitely, it would crack even more.
Yeah,
Well, so some of these I've done, Preston, for the reason you just mentioned. I don't put a bowl in it or anything else. I just
Yeah.
I leave it flat, and then I
Okay.
use the bottom. I enhance the bottom, differently. I make these usually so that they can flip them both ways. You can use them both ways,
mm-hmm.
and
That's real
so then
innovative. Yeah,
you have a nice flat top on it, and you can see all that feathering and so forth. They look pretty cool.
yeah.
That's about-
Challenging wood, but beautiful end result, I think.
Yes.
Nice.
When this picture first popped up, I thought with those concentric rings around the center there, you string 6 strings over that, you can make a cool little guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one, John.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, nicely done, Preston.
Thank you.
I know it's a challenge to work with that stuff, so.
Yeah,
Good.
another challenge I have is you see here where the bowl, emerging bowl is coming straight out of the wood. How do you sand in that corner there? Every time I would try to sand, I'd mess up the cylinder, and when I would fix the cylinder, I'd mess up the flat piece. That's why I put that ring there to try to hide some of it.
Yeah. No, that is a challenge, particularly on a wing bowl like that where you gotta worry about your fingers. But I have had some success. I have a detail sander,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and when you have to get into a corner, but the other thing you could do would be to not make that a right angle like that. Don't make it such a sharp angle in there. But when I've had to get into a sharp angle, I actually just use my I have a fine detail sander, the one with a little triangular pad on it.
yeah,
That actually works pretty well for that.
yeah. Great idea. Thank you.
What is this up here?
That's a worm tunnel,
Worm tunnel? Okay.
bug tunnel. Looks
Yeah, I
like a
thought-
candy cane, doesn't it?
I thought maybe you were doing fish hook storage in there or something.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. This is a bowl I've shown before in progress where I only had the outside done and I finished the inside. Again, this is just a screenshot from a video. And there's all kinds of, the epoxy has all kinds of issues in it. You can see all the bubbles in it, and a couple of the big bubbles I tried to fill in with super glue. But I gotta get my pressure pot working for this kind of stuff. It was real punky wood. You can see some of the light near the resin is punkiness that I just saturated with super glue, but most where the big resin thing is where I carved out the punkiness in the original wood. It's got really a lot of swirls and a lot of aggression going on when the wood was forming there somehow.
Question, instead of CA, Jamestown Distributors makes a penetrating epoxy they use for repairing punky wood on boats.
Okay.
And I've had very good success. I mean, I obviously can stabilize in my vacuum chamber, but so there's pieces that I don't want to do that on, but you don't end up with any of the foaming or any of this. I mean, but it will go into that. It will saturate into this punky wood, and it takes a couple days to set up, but I've used it quite successfully. So you may want to give that a look. It's Jamestown Distributors. Is it's a marine supply place.
Right.
They
Thank
actually make
you.
a lot of the epoxies.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that looks like quite a challenge.
Yeah.
All right, Ron, is Ron on? I don't see Ron Patterson. Is he here?
No,
he's not.
he
He
sent an
emailed.
email saying he couldn't make it.
Oh, okay. Well, we will save that for next month.
That's a beauty.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. And I don't see Stefan either. Wonder whether some people ended up with power outages tonight with this storm.
Very possible.
So we'll save Stefan's for next month as well.
Nice.
Oh, there's a pretty one.
Here's Ted.
Oh, yeah. So I think it must have been March, because it was after we had Emiliano do the Calabash Bowl for us in February. I did this, I didn't finish it off. I had done, part of it, I guess, but I had some severe cracks in this and really punky wood in it. And it was, once I got into it, I saw all the punky wood. I thought, well, I'll just continue with it just for the practice of making a calabash. But then Emiliano, I sent him a picture of it. He said, no, go fix it. Put some pavas in it, and poho. So anyways, I decided to do that. And you can see, it's a little bit harder to see in this photo, but if you look the top photo to the left on the rim, you can see a patch in there. That's a poho patch, which is all the way through. So that patch is on the inside and the outside both, because it had a really bad spot in it. There's lots of bad spots in it. I didn't fix them all. I just fixed that one. And a lot of it was just to get the experience of doing this work.
What is the wood, Ted?
It's cherry. It's cherry wood, and it sat in my pile a little bit too long, I guess, and got punky on me. But it's about 11 or 12 inches big around and about 3 or 4 inches tall. So yeah. So anyways, it was fun making those patches, and I just made them out of some scrap pieces of cherry, actually from this piece when I cut off the excess, in the rough cut, you might say, right on the bandsaw. I had saved a couple of those pieces, and I just made these patches out of those pieces for it. So I think I got another photo there too, don't I? Close up. Yeah. So there you can see a close up of the patches.
Oh, wow.
A little bit better on there. It was, I'll tell you, the regular Peva patches, the one on the right, isn't that bad to do, but the other one, that poho patch on the left, that's a big challenge, let me tell you, especially with punky wood. After I finished it, I could have done a couple different ways a little bit, and I think it would have been a little bit better, but was a good learning experience. And the bowl is beautiful. You know, in the end, it looks
It is.
fantastic piece. But and Michael, I'll sell this to you for $500. I won't charge you $1,000 for
You are the man, because I was gonna ask.
It is pretty
Yeah.
amazing grain pattern. Was this a crotch or what?
No, it's not a crotch. It's just normal, you know, chunk of cherry. So,
Beautiful. Too.
In the left-hand
Thank you.
picture on the inside there in the previous shot, you can just see it swirl here on the bottom too. Yeah.
That's nice, Ted.
yep, thanks. Yeah, this one, who was it? So saying, I think it was Jim said he doesn't like wormholes, so you won't like this one, Jim.
No, you need better wood.
Yeah. This is a piece of oak wood. A friend of mine, he got a bunch of firewood and he had this oak and he went on and on about it, you know. So I said, well, give me wanted me to take some. All right, give me a piece of it. I'll go do something with it. So this is what I ended up with, making a hollow form out of it. And then I made several pieces out of it actually. And this one though, I decided I would try a little experiment and try using some dye on it. So I layered it with a black dye first, and then a yellow, and then a green on top of it. And then where all those worm trails were, I carved all those back. They were all filled. So I did all the dye work on it, most of it first, and then I took and cleaned out all those wormholes with
Wow.
like a Dremel tool type thing, and cleaned them all out, and then dyed those yellow so they would stand out a little bit more. I think I went back and forth between making them all black or making them, you know, light, you know, and I decided to go light on it. And I think either way would have been fine. You know, some people probably would prefer to be more dark and others light, but anyways, and then you can see
When
the
I first saw-
medullary rays on the top really well.
Yeah,
on
those
this
rays
kind
are
of thing.
awesome. I thought that Michael had snuck in and basketed this.
I think the next shot maybe has a better picture of the top. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Oh yeah. Yeah, there you go. There's that. And then I just included a side picture with it's kind of almost a burl knot kind of a situation there, but it was just kind of cool, you know, on the side of it. So I included those two photos as well. And I used John's natural background, as you can see.
There's no rain on it though.
Oh yeah, I forgot the rain. Darn. Well, we haven't had any rain for so long. John gets it every day out there, you know.
Spray bottle.
So
That's nice,
anyways,
Ted.
it was fun experience. And I'll tell you, the pictures, I mean, if you hold this thing out in the sun, it is just amazing, the coloring and the way those medullary rays pop out and so forth on it. It's totally amazing. If I was a better photographer, it'd probably show up a little bit better, but it's really a beautiful, the way that those rays come out.
I don't know. I'm looking over at Jim Duxbury and he's cringing over there. He's
Took a lot of wood filler to make that right.
Yeah.
Wabi sabi.
That's right. It's wabi sabi.
Yeah, that's nice, Ted. I like the wormholes.
Very nice.
You could fill it with wasabi and no one would notice for the color.
Yeah.
Ted, did you say you did that with green wood dye?
Yeah. It's I put black on first, and then I sand that off, you know, because it goes in the deep soft, in the soft wood grain. And then I put yellow on, yellow dye, several coats of that. And then sometimes I sand some of that off in different spots. I might sand a little bit. And then I put green dye on top of that, which, you know, merges in with the yellow and changes it to different colors of green, you know, around it, depending on how you mix it, put it on there. Yeah. And then, then I put this lacquer finish on it. The
Nice.
lacquer.
All right. I did get a text from Stefan, and he's going to try to join us here in just a few minutes. I'll go to mine, we're going to be last, but hopefully Stefan will join us before we're done here, and we can go back to his pieces. So, so this is, I think most of you know that I have a whole bunch of Mike Smith reject wood that he just, when he was just, he had this pile of stuff that in his yard that he couldn't sell, and I ended up with a bunch of it. So, so this is a piece of, it was labeled as big leaf maple burl. It's some burl and some not, but it had a crack in it. You can see a little bit of it right there, but so I took it and just turned a natural edge. It's about 12 inches by about 3 inches. And so that's the top. And then I did put, you can see I filled this with
Right.
black epoxy, and I just put a butterfly in there. I'm not sophisticated enough to call them POA patches. It's just a bow tie for me. So, but actually this is black glue boost CA. I find that it doesn't foam the way that the others do. So when I have to fill gaps in there, if I'm not going to use epoxy, I find that works. But and there was a couple areas here. This is just this was a hole up here. This is just coffee grounds and epoxy up there, and to fill that hole. But just again, just I hate to see a pretty piece of wood go to waste.
You almost think that's koa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Gorgeous.
I think because it had been sitting out in his yard, it kind of weathered.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get some interesting effects. But this side of it over here has the burl. It doesn't show up great in the photograph, but this side over here, again, it's like John's piece. It's about half burl. So
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the other picture?
Sure. Are you going to complain about the scratches on my background?
That's exactly what I was going to complain
No.
about. I was going to tell you, I really like the way you lit it. You did a great job lighting. I love the little rim light over on the left-hand side, and it's beautifully lit. But dude, you need a new background.
I did. I came back from vacation today, and I photographed this in 5 minutes. I ran up and threw it up there. Normally, I move it away from the scratched area, but I didn't even realize that till I edited the pictures, and I didn't have time to go back up and did it. So
I'm just teasing you, but
no, I know. I thought I was like, crap. First, I thought it was on my lens, and then I went up and looked at the background and said, "How'd that happen?" So anyway, but
If you
on the
added
next-
about 5 or 6 more scratchers, it would blend in and look like a pattern. You'd be fine.
yeah, there you go.
Normally I just slide over and don't, but I was in a hurry. Like I said, I got back and was trying to get something in for tonight, but yeah, so that's one piece. And then
Add some grass.
yeah.
Or water drops.
Water drops. I kind of escaped them there though. And then this piece, so Jeff Danneman came over my house the other day with a big piece of burl that he had gotten from Gene, and we cored a bowl out, and this piece was so tall that this was what was left over at the bottom after Jeff got his bowls, and Jeff was kind enough to leave it for me. So it's about 12 inches in diameter, just 11 and a half, something like that, and about 6 inches tall. And we talked about before about wondering about pieces. So when I first turned this, and it's on a pedestal because I didn't want to lose. It was kind of high for the shape of the bowl I had, and I didn't want to lose any more than I needed to. So I made a pedestal out of it. But after I turned it, I didn't like it. I had it all finished, and it was actually dyed in the middle, and I put it back on the lathe on my vacuum chuck and returned the whole thing thinner. And when I turned it, and it's hard to see in these pictures, but I ended up, when I looked at it, I had a flat spot in here. It wasn't a continuous curve. And I don't know how I did it. But after I put the finish on it, it was so obvious to me. And so I returned it. So it's been turned twice. So, and I did not dye it the second time. After that, I said, I think I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it natural. So that's just seal cell finish on it.
Gorgeous.
Do you know what the wood is?
I'm assuming it's maple burl. It's either maple or big leaf maple. I was gonna, Jeff, Gene didn't tell you what it was, did he? Is Jeff on still on?
I think Jeff was on, but he's gone now.
Yep, it's gone now. But I think it's maple burl from what I can tell from the wood. It has the very characteristic. This grain pattern here is very characteristic of what I normally see with maple burl. So, but the fact that it had burl over here and then this flame in here, no, it just. But I guess the reason I show this tonight is, and it's interesting, we had this discussion on other pieces, is that there are times when you just have to, and maybe we're too critical of our own work. But to me, it just did not. It jumped out on me every time I looked at it where that was, and I had it sitting on my bench all finished, and I just said. Unfortunately, I'd only dyed the inside. I'd left the outside natural, so it wasn't that much work to reshape it. So.
And how have you finished it? What's the finish?
It's Sealacell.
Okay.
It's one coat of Sealacell, and then the Beal Buff with just. So I put Sealacell on it. I put 2 thin coats on, and then I let it dry, and I put it up. I put it on the vacuum chuck and buffed it down with Quado steel wool, and then brought the luster back up with white diamond and then the carnauba wax. So it's a satin finish.
Very nice.
Steve, I love how the second turning that came out, and the thinness of the bowl is just really attractive. It makes it so delicate.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, that's it's just something.
I like the foot. I like the form of the bowl too, and I like that. I like that foot on there. You know, it's different. You know, rather than just not having any foot and sitting on this bottom. I really like that.
And also, what I find is it elevates it enough that you can see the figure, particularly over here where the burl is. That it actually allows you to see the burl figure running down down into the underside of the bowl. So anyway, those are my 2. Let me just see if Stephanie.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Beautiful work.
Nice, dude.
All right. Stefan is still trying to get here, so if we can.
Oh, he's on.
Oh, Stefan, are you here? Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see you on my. You're just off my list here. All right, Stefan, I'm going to go back to yours.
While you do that, my apologies, I'm late. There was traffic in Garner coming back onto Chapel Hill.
All right. Yeah, I imagine you get stuck in that storm.
And the storm was after the traffic accident, so it all came together. So
well, glad you could make it.
Thank you. This has become an annual project for me when our hematology oncology fellows finish their training after 3 years. I make a trophy for each of them. And this year we had 7 fellows finish, 7 of the 7 fellow finish. So I make trophies typically out of different woods. I have one duplicate here on the left-hand side, Eastern Red Cedar, but I take woods that are interesting and turn these chalices or trophies. Now, even though I said there's 7 fellows, I've turned 8 chalices. because the best one I want to keep. And I like the persimmon, which is the one on the right-hand side. And in a minute, we'll see a close-up view of that. But I learned with interest, and some of you know that I went to England, to Sheffield a week ago, and it was wonderful. I had a tour through the Robert Sorby facility that makes the tools. And I learned in the museum that's in Sheffield that the old tool makers 150, 200 years ago, when they made a dozen of something, they made 13 of something.
Mhm.
And the purpose was that they always expected or thought if one of them doesn't turn out, then they still have a real dozen. So a Sheffield dozen is a 13. So this is here my 7 with an 8th one, but not so much because I fear that one won't turn out right, but I want to keep the best one.
We call it a baker's dozen.
Yes, and that one, my daughter read up why that is, and that's a different story.
Oh, okay.
In Europe, very briefly, the bakers 500 years ago in the medieval times or so, they tried to cheat the customers by, when they sold bread, they made the bread light, lighter than it was supposed to be. And the people in charge of their territories caught up on that, and then they hacked off the hands as a punishment. So because people didn't want to lose their hands, they changed their production method, or their method in general, and they weighed very carefully. But because they were afraid there was some inaccuracy with the weights, they always made a little more to be sure they were definitely good for a dozen. So that's a baker's dozen. But anyway, a little different backgrounds, all of them. So we have here Eastern Red Cedar on the left, and the third one from the left is spalted hackberry, which I like a lot. And in the back is what I think is pecan. Then the fifth one, a little in front, is obviously black walnut. Then in the back, that behind the walnut, is cherry, which was a little not too interesting. And then the next one, the second from the right, I thought was really interesting. That's a willow oak, between a sapwood and the heartwood. You see a little bit of the sapwood on the left hand side.
Yeah,
And then
on the base,
persi-
it looks like, sorry to interrupt, but on the base, it looks like there's two of them in front of each other, one in front of the other one.
Yes, and actually the person I gave this to thought I had glued two pieces of wood together. And then the persimmon on the right.
Well, Stefan, do you start these? Is this all dried wood and done in a single turning?
Good question. Most of them are, because these are pieces I have selected and then kept, and then I just go into my stack and I pick them. The only one that was wet was the oak, the second from the right.
Okay.
It has not distorted very much. But I have to tell you, the one of them was really hard, as it was. Oh, the black walnut! I was surprised how difficult it is to turn when it's dry. I had never done that as a block.
Yeah, it tends to be very powdery.
Yes, indeed.
So you turn them all in a single turning. I mean, you single turn them, start to finish, and then finish them.
That's correct.
Okay. So which one did you like? You like this one over here on the
That one, and if you go to the next slide, Stephen.
Yeah, well, I love this one.
Oh yeah, the hackberry.
I think that is spectacular. The contrast to that, the way it's spalted, is just really cool.
I wish I could show you a close-up of that one. So this is the persimmon, and the persimmon is really special. I don't know whether any one of you has, or some of you have turned it, I'm sure. It does not have clear heartwood. The heartwood may be a very small area of blackishness, but then there's blackishness spread throughout the wood, like little pockets of it. So it gives it this pattern right here. That's not spalted, that's just the black discoloration of the wood in certain areas. It's easy when you cut persimmon in half, that you don't have any of the heartwood left, the darkness, because it's so small in the middle. But then you may have these pockets further out. It's a strange pattern. I don't understand it.
So is the pith in this piece, or is it?
No.
Did you cut the, so, well, that's, so you managed, that's a pretty big piece of persimmon then. So that had to be 8-9 inches in diameter.
Yeah, it was, yeah, it was probably 10 inches or so, indeed.
Yeah, a lot, the persimmon I've seen has been quite a bit smaller than that, but yeah, I mean, that's a really beautiful piece of wood. I can see why you kept it.
Yeah, but the hackberry, Stephen, is also very nice. I wish I could have kept that one too, but I couldn't.
So what did you finish them with?
Sealer cell, and then the Beal system, and the final is a Canuba wax.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's nice.
very
I
nice.
like that nice satin finish on that. That's very, very appealing. So I assume they were appreciated.
Yes, and well, so I've given away one so far. They finish at the end of June.
Okay.
So one I've given to somebody who finished early. The other 6 are still to be given away. But in the past, I've done this. This is my 4th year, and they are appreciated because at the bottom, and I have one of them right here. Actually, do I have a camera? Where's my camera? I don't know whether you can. Oh, well. I engraved them with a laser engraver with the name of the fellow, and then UNC Hematology Oncology Fellowship and the years that they did their fellowship in. So a number of the previous hematologists put that in their office wherever they work next and have it on the bookshelf. And it's a good memory of UNC, and they just enjoyed it. It's unique. It's not one of those Chinese trophies that sometimes you get as a pre-printed plastic or metal or something or other, but it's more individual.
Right.
That's really special, John. I'm sure they really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
And then a
I
brief
want one,
comment
but
to
I can't go
John.
through. I
What's
want
that?
one, but I can't go through, residency or anything like that. I'm not that smart.
What did you say, Michael? You also want one?
No, I want one, but I'm not smart enough to go through residency and all that. So how do I shortcut that?
You can, my friend.
He's just shaking his head. I love it.
Too late for you, Michael.
Damn it.
And then one comment to John Vaith, of course. I'm sorry about that little black dot at 7 o'clock on my background.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that.
I got a hole in mine.
Stefan,
I got to position the piece in front of the hole every time.
Well,
If you use the grass in the yard, it doesn't really make any, nobody finds all those defects.
Stefan, how big are these?
they are as big as my hand is tall. So I have the measurement there, Stephen.
It's about 7 inches.
7 inches.
Very nice, Stefan.
Thank you.
I'm sure they'll be cherished.
So this
John,
is a
while we're talking
Monterey.
about retouching things. I was taking a class in photography from some online person, and they were talking about an app that you could use to remove imperfections or lint or hair or stuff like that. You ever use anything like that?
You can take, you could fix a lot of things. I use Lightroom.
Okay.
But I actually could take those scratches out of there, but I'm going to buy a new background. So I've been guilted into it. So. Go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, and I don't use too much software on the computers. I spend enough time on the computers already, but be that as it may. So this is a Monterey cypress. And I showed that probably half a year ago on this show and tell. I think I did, not this piece, but we spent our summer vacation last year in California, and I was really impressed by certain trees, including the Monterey cypress, which grows just beautifully. And I wanted to have some wood to take home. So I contacted the wood turning clubs in Monterey and in Santa Cruz. They're on the web. And I sent an email to the presidents of those clubs. And the one in Santa Cruz immediately responded. And he's a retired physician. So we connected immediately over the wood turning as well. He's obviously a wood turner. So and I had asked them, is there any way to get some Monterey cypress? And he said, come by, I have some for you. So I visited him close to Santa Cruz, saw his workshop, what he's turned, we connected well. And as a gift, he gave me a big piece of Monterey cypress, so big that I couldn't take it to North Carolina because it didn't fit in my suitcase. So I was still able to get it as a hand-on carry-on. And I finally turned this piece. And Stephen, I don't have the size in my mind. Is it 14 inches or 15, 16 inches?
I don't have
18 inches even. So real big piece. It was relatively flat, 3 inches maybe. So I made more of a platter or a very shallow bowl out of it. It smells beautifully, as cypress often does. And that's the piece. This is my daughter holding it just to show the size of it. And I like it quite a bit.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Beautiful piece.
Thank you.
And the symmetry of it, I just love the way, it just turned out. Sometimes it's, but yeah, it really worked out very well. The way the grain just kind of flows right through the middle of it. That's very nice.
And for me, it also reflects that, as many of us know, wood turning is not just the wood turning on the lathe and the final product, but it's how you get the wood and the stories that go with it. And to have this for my summer vacation and then the meeting in near Santa Cruz with a wood turner is just a nice memory as well.
That's a very nice piece.
Beautiful
Thank you.
piece.
Wonderful.
Ian.
Nice piece.
Nice.